It actually happened, and I'm as shocked as you are. YouTube actually reverted one of their bad changes they've made recently. This is more rare than winning the lottery. In November, YouTube made changes to their monetization policy, which overnight slapped a ton of channels and demonetized a large portion of their catalog with no warning whatsoever that it was coming. Pretty much overnight, a ton of channels had their income drastically affected, which led to fear and outrage naturally. They decided that it was time to really sterilize the content. No more of those naughty sailor sentence enhancers. Welcome to Weenie Hut Jr., bub. So they punished a lot of channels, and today they actually announced that they're reverting that change on the bad words. So they're no longer going to be treating all curse words equally. There's going to be tiers to them because fucking obviously there should be. Not every curse word's the same. You can't argue that hell and damn are on the same level as a fuck. The original policy said that all bad words are going to be equal in the eyes of the algorithm. So it was a big problem that now they've recognized was a problem, so they've dialed it back. They're also being more flexible on the harshness of the language you can use in the content and still be monetized for. Not only that, they're finally showing us how the sausage is made and is no longer just making it vague statements. They are making it very clear what is and is not going to trigger different levels of monetization, what is and is not allowed for full monetization, what will result in limited monetization, and what exactly will result in no ads. They finally laid it all out plainly and clearly so there's no guesswork anymore. Overall, this is a very surprising announcement because I can't even recall the last time YouTube reverted a policy change. The only one that even tickles my noodle is when Google Plus still existed and you had to sign up for Google Plus to comment on YouTube videos. But I feel like the only reason that got taken away is because Google Plus got taken away. That got buried like a fucking dinosaur. It went extinct. The service ceased to exist. Thus, it could no longer exist on YouTube as a commenting feature. And it's been like 10 years since then. God rest the soul of Google Plus. I know all three people that used it are probably still very distraught about it. May time heal those wounds. But I feel like I'd remember if they actually reverted that change before Google Plus's collapse. And I don't remember any announcement like that. I think they were stubbornly going to ride or die on Google Plus, and then Google Plus died. So not even that really fully qualifies, I don't think. I actually just can't think of another policy change they've ever walked back on. I really can't. This is truly a unicorn here. It's super refreshing, and I'm thankful that they're, going back on this change. So now you can again say your fucks. You can then say, whatever other colorful language you want to include without fear of your livelihood being threatened for it or anything like that. But I am admittedly confused that this is the first change that they're publicly eating shit on, saying that this was too far, too Insano style, it wasn't how we wanted it to be, and we've listened to the feedback, so we're going to revert those changes. I'm just surprised it's this one as opposed to dislikes. They removed dislikes a long time ago, and people still are very vocal about how awful of a decision that was, and people are still very much wanting dislikes to be re-enabled on the platform. And I feel like that's a pretty easy one for them to do, because dislikes still exist, it's just not publicly accessible on the platform without an extension. So they could easily flip that switch back on, and it'd be a slam dunk to showcase that they actually are listening to feedback now. I think this is a great first step, like, hey, don't get me wrong, I'm happy about this. Hey, we heard you, we're reverting this change, it wasn't a good change. But why not also extend that to something like dislikes? And also, they haven't made any mention on that violent content policy that they updated at the same time as the cursing policy, where a lot of channels were also hit by that if they were playing a video game that was a little too violent. So there is still room for improvement, but it is a good first step that I'm thankful for. So I just wanted to at least point out a couple of other things that I would like them to address as well. Of course, the biggest being bringing fucking dislikes back. Now, there's one more pretty important thing that I'd like to talk about. They actually put out a video going over everything and explaining it in greater detail with an actual face to the policy. This is their lead monetization guy, and I half expected this to just be like a fucking android or robot or something, but they actually have the real living, breathing human being that's behind these monetization changes and these monetization policies coming forward to explain it.
Last November aimed to improve the clarity and enforcement of our advertiser-friendly guidelines, and to make it easier for creators to monetize brand-safe content.
I don't really get how the November change was supposed to make it easier to monetize brand friendly content. It didn't seem to have any effect on what was already considered brand friendly, so that seems like kind of a nothing point. And I'm also not on board or subscribed to the belief that it was done with the intent of clarifying their policies on, cursing and all that, when it was just a full overhaul of what is and is not allowed in regards to monetization. So changing like the first 15 seconds, you can't say anything that's even somewhat naughty and shit like that, and treating all curse words equally. That's not really providing clarity, that's just completely changing what's already been established. So I'm a little confused on what the actual goal was, if the goal itself wasn't to make it a more strict environment, which it seems like, from what he's saying, that's not what they were intending.
Since then, we heard concerns from creators about the impact of this change. Upon reviewing our own enforcement data, we found the profanity policy resulted in a stricter approach than we intended. As a result, we are making the following changes to better reflect the goals of our initial update in November.
Again, that statement has me scratching my head like I've got fucking lice. I'm very confused. How could you not have foreseen that this profanity change makes it a more restrictive environment? If that wasn't the goal. Like, it seems like the goal was to change the profanity policy in order to make everything cleaner for people that, rely on AdSense for their livelihood on the platform, right? I don't understand exactly what the goal was if the goal wasn't to change that policy itself, because he seems to insinuate that the belief was it would make things easier. How? In what fantasy world would that have actually been the result from the policy change? It just makes everything a lot more tough and harsh to create in.
We are no longer treating all profanity equally. Usage of moderate profanity, words like bitch, douchebag, asshole, shit, at any time in the video content is now eligible for green icons. Under the November update, this would have received no ad revenue. Usage of stronger profanity, like the F word in the first 7 seconds or repeatedly throughout the majority of the video, can now run limited ads. Under the November update, this would have received no ad revenue.
When he really spells out the November update, you can truly hear just how fucking brutal it was. So it is fantastic that they're walking it back. That is great. And it's also lovely to hear this guy say things like bitch, asshole, and douchebag, and he even says fuck, too. He referred to it as the F word here, but he gets a little loosey-goosey with it in a little bit. He just straight up drops a fuck in there, which is pretty cool to hear.
Content using profanity, moderate, or stronger words like fuck after the first 7 seconds will now be eligible for green icons, unless used repetitively throughout the majority of the video. As was the case before the update in November, use of any profanity, be it something like shit or the F word, in titles and thumbnails will receive a yellow icon.
I really do appreciate his matter-of-fact way of presenting this. He just lays down the brass tacks and he does it in 4 minutes. It's pretty concise, it's bite-sized, so that way you get all of the information you need and you'll know exactly what will result in what monetization status. So I actually think it's a really great thing that they've done here. I don't know if they normally do this and I've just been missing it, but if this is new, I hope they continue it because it leaves no more room for vagueness or misinterpretation of policies. I think that's nice. I also think it's a good thing that they have the head honcho here of the department being the principal actor here in the content, so that way he can be the face of it the way that it should be, since he is the one that leads the policy monetization team. So, overall, I am very appreciative that they have reverted these changes. I'm not going to play the rest of the video where he goes more in depth on more of the profanity changes. You can check that out yourself so that way you have more clarity on it as well. But overall, a great change, and it seems like it's going back to the way it was before November. And actually, from the sound of what he was saying, it seems even better than it was pre-November. But maybe now I'm just not remembering exactly how the policies used to work. Regardless, though, it is a good thing. This is a rare YouTube W on this situation. I'm happy for it, but I think there's still more work to do. I do hope they continue this. I hope this is the start of more transparency, a willingness to listen to the community in regards to changes that they make. I'm hopeful that this won't be a one-off decision that they make, and we can start tackling some other problems, like the dislikes being hidden still. But anyway, I just wanted to keep everyone updated on this situation. That's about it. See ya.